My name is Coach Rose, and I am the Busy Mom's weight loss expert. I help moms lose weight, gain energy, finally feel like themselves again, but I share my secret on how you can do it working out less and eating the food you love. So tonight we're going to jump on from last week's Tuesday talk. So if you missed last week's talk and you want to get tagged into that video, we talked about what are macros and what to use to track macros so that you know whether you're in a fat loss mode or not. If you want to be tagged in last week's video so you can catch up and get up to speed, type macros in the comments and we'll make sure we tag you in last week's video so that this week makes a little bit more sense to you. Basal metabolic rate, what is resting metabolic rate, and basically how do you figure out how many calories you need to lose weight? What all factors come into play and what is a safe amount of weight to lose? So we're going to talk about all that tonight. I did make a little presentation for you guys just to kind of help me stay on track. So today's Tuesday talk, we're talking basal metabolic rate and how to figure out how many calories you need to lose weight. What is basal metabolic rate? And you may have heard of this before. A lot of people use this number to kind of figure out their minimum amount of calories they need. So basal metabolic rate, it's your metabolic rate. That's the number of calories your body needs to accomplish its most basic function. If you weren't doing anything at all and you were just a human body operating mechanism, this is the minimum amount of calories you need to keep your body functioning well. Your hormones, processes, breathing, those are the minimum amount of calories that you need to make sure all those functions are right. And it makes up for about 60 to 70% of your total metabolism. Resting metabolic rate, sometimes people use resting metabolic rate interchangeably with basal metabolic rate, but resting metabolic rate is a little bit different. Resting metabolic rate is the amount of calories you need at rest. So the difference being is at rest, sometimes we're doing other things. We're like watching TV, which means we're thinking. We could be sitting up, sitting on the couch, and even though we're not really moving, we're kind of at rest. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit more calories than basal metabolic rate. So I just kind of wanted to explain that to you guys. I used to give these tests back when I worked at Lifetime Fitness, testing people's resting metabolic rate. And what we would do is we would have them come early in the morning, fasted, and they would breathe through a machine that would measure their rate of oxygen exchange, and it would also measure their heart rate. Based on their breathing, we could tell how many calories their body was burning and how many of those calories were fats or carbs at rest. So that was a resting metabolic rate test. It's a little bit different. The differences are so small, but I wanted you guys to know what the difference is if you've heard of that before. So your basal metabolic rate is part of your TDEE, and that is short for total daily expenditure. Your metabolism can also be known as your total daily expenditure. And that number is going to be your activity level, your basal metabolic rate, and also how many calories your body is burning while it digests food. So that's kind of another factor as well. Back to your resting metabolic rate, the calories at rest are going to be different for everybody. It depends on how much you weigh, depends on your gender, how old you are, and your body composition, how much fat mass you have on your body and how much muscle mass you have on your body. So the more muscle mass you have on your body, the faster or the larger your basal metabolic or resting metabolic rate will be. And I've talked about this so many times, and that's why I love strength training. We want that muscle mass. We want that muscle mass so that we have a higher metabolism. Those are some of the factors that come into play on knowing what your metabolic rate is. To calculate your basal metabolic rate, there is a formula. There's actually about 2 or 3 that people use to calculate this, and I just pulled up one that is most popular. And see, this is kind of like a tricky formula. This number times your weight in pounds times your height in inches, which if you go to any kind of macro calculator, you can come up with this number. Now know that this is just a formula. It is not a perfect system. This is averages. So everybody is a little bit different. And so even though you may, like, say you pull up MyFitnessPal, and we've talked about MyFitnessPal, and you enter in there all your information, your height, your age, your gender, how much weight you want to lose, it's just a guess on a formula, which is probably one of these, but is not exact to everybody. And that's why it takes some trial and error and consistency. And the only way we're going to know if we selected the right calorie amount for us is if we track somehow. That could be through journaling, so tracking all of our food and tracking our exercise, or it could be through that app. You're tracking your food and you're tracking how much you eat in a day, and you're tracking your weight loss. That is how you know whether you're actually eating to lose weight. Now, if you say, for example, you use one of these calculators and it comes out with you need to lose 1,500 calories to lose a certain amount of weight by a certain amount of time. You're tracking your food, you're tracking that 1,500 calories, 2 weeks goes by and nothing happens. A couple of things could be happening there. One, it could be that that number is not the right number for you. If you're not losing any weight at that calorie amount, you might have to go a little bit lower. If you're losing too much weight, which for females would be more than 2 pounds a week, then you need to go a little bit more. The likely scenario, which is the hard truth for many people, and as a coach, I've got to be honest and got to give you hard truth, is there could be errors when you record your foods. For example, you might not be weighing and measuring correctly. The entry in MyFitnessPal might be incorrect. How do we know whether it's a correct entry or an incorrect entry? A lot of times people might not estimate their food very well. If you're not weighing and measuring and you're just scanning without actually matching the serving size, that's where errors can come in. One of the questions that I get a lot is how much weight is safe to lose? This is a chart of realistic rates of body fat loss per week. And I think this is really important to go over because it's really important to know what are some realistic expectations to lose weight. A lot of women, they talk to me and they have some weight to lose and they're really gung-ho and they want to lose it like yesterday, right? Because they're just so tired of it. But we got to know what is realistic to lose in a week. If we lose it fast, we can gain it back fast as well. So we want to stay in that realistic rate of body fat loss. So I'm just going to talk about it a little bit here for females. So this top portion of the chart, a comfortable amount of weight to lose for women is about 0.5 to 0.8 pounds per week. That is comfortable. You're eating less than you burn and you are losing less than 0.5% of body weight per week. That is what's comfortable to lose. Now, reasonable, where it's going to be a little bit more aggressive with your calorie deficit. For women, it's going to be in the 0.8 to 0.165 pounds a week. So you're talking a little under a pound to 1.5 pounds a week is reasonable. We're getting in the like, this is doable, taking some effort, but it's doable. Now, extreme would be 1.65 to 2.5 pounds a week. That is extreme. So this is uncomfortable. If you're losing 2.5 pounds a week, it is uncomfortable to be there. Now, obviously, if you're a bigger person and we want to be in that safe range where we're losing 1% body fat per week, if you're 200 pounds, 1% is 2 pounds a week. So that would be okay. When we're over 2% body loss per week, it's very extreme. And if you're losing more than that, likely you're just losing water. So a lot of crash diets work that way. Many of them restrict your carbohydrates, and what you're really losing is you're losing water. So when you're losing a bunch of weight really quickly, sometimes that is water. But if you're losing it the smart way, making sure you're getting an adequate amount of protein, an adequate amount of carbs, an adequate amount of fats, then you'll be seeing reasonable results. And we want to be there. We want to be in the reasonable category. Well, comfortable or reasonable. You know, extreme depends case by case. You know, if you have more weight to lose, I can understand that. But really, I try to keep my clients somewhere in the comfortable and the reasonable zone, because you won't be hating life. Anybody knows who's been on a diet many times, it can be difficult. And I want weight loss to be easy, and I don't want you hungry all the time. And if you go the slow and steady route, well, you won't gain back as fast anyway, as long as you make smart choices. So we want to be able to keep the weight off that we lose. And many of you here, myself included, have been there where we lost weight really, really quickly, and then we gained it all back and then some. And I do not want to teach you that way, because I want to help you lose the weight in a smart way. Now, some of you might be saying, well, I got 3 months. I got some wedding to get ready for, or I have a beach vacation coming up. I got 3 months to lose 20 pounds. I got 3 months to lose 30 pounds. I don't have time for slow and steady. Okay, I'm going to put my best girlfriend voice on and say this out of love. Take your time to make changes to your habits, to make changes to learn healthy living in a smart routine way, so that you can keep it off for life, keep it off for good. We don't want to train ourselves to be like the only time that we're feeling smaller or that we're thinner is when we're on this crazy, stupid, extreme diet, which works, but then you can only keep it off if you stay on that crazy, stupid diet. And then the second you come off that diet, it all comes back. That's not what I want for you. We'll go to an extreme for like 30 to 60 days. We lose a bunch of weight. We're so happy, so thrilled with that. But then it's the second we start eating normally and enjoying our life, it starts creeping up. And before you know it, not only did we gain the weight back, we've gained even more. And then when it's time to try to start this diet again, you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't even think about all the hard work it took to stick to that strict diet. And it takes you months to get back to where that was. Like, you might not even try for a year, several months. That was just so hard. You can't even imagine trying to be doing that again. And so now you've put your health on hold again, because that was so extreme that waiting for the right time to get back to that extreme. So I want to put my I love you girl hat on and say, what if you didn't try that extreme that made you give up, and you didn't start that again for another year, 2 years, 3 years? What if you did it the smart way and lost half a pound to a pound a week, and you made healthy living a lifestyle over a year, and then after that year is up, you kept it off, you keep it off, you maintain that lifestyle? That is time well spent. That is definitely time well spent. And not only do you get to keep those results, but there's something to be said about that journey, that figuring out what works and what doesn't work, and figuring out how it works for your life. Those things, don't take that for granted. Figuring out how to look ahead at a menu, or packing your food for the softball game. Those habits take time to make. And if you give yourself that time where you build a structure and you build a routine, healthy living comes easy, and you don't have to go on that stupid ass dieting train again, where it's on again, off again with some crazy restrictive diet that wastes your time and your money, and then you gain even more weight back. Why you don't want to lose weight too quickly? There's a lot of different reasons why. One of the things that I warn people off about losing weight too quickly is that a lot of times the first thing to go if you lose weight too quickly is your muscle mass. So if we don't protect that muscle mass, then our metabolism is going to slow down even more. So we don't want to lose weight too quickly, because we want to protect that muscle mass. The other reason why we don't want to lose weight too quickly is it can really wreak havoc and mess with our female hormones. You'll start to see period irregularities, which we don't want. You will start to feel very tired and low energy. Some other metabolic processes might start getting being affected. And I pulled up an article earlier today about symptoms of losing weight too quickly. And some of the things were, having headaches, getting obsessed with food, your relationship with food becoming affected, losing your hair. There's a reason why we don't want to lose weight too quickly. We want to do it the sure and steady way. We want to do it safely. I know that sounds really boring, but it's the key to success to keep it off if we lose weight in a reasonable way. So if we do it in a reasonable way, then we are more likely to keep it off. And that's what you want. And that's what I want for you guys. For females, see, we don't gain a lot of muscle mass. In strength training, which I recommend 100% to anyone trying to lose weight, is to also strength train. Now, you don't have to work out to lose weight, and that's okay. Some of my clients haven't been able to manage the time to do that. Sometimes they just try to walk as much as they can. Sometimes it's just 1 hour a week of workouts that they get in. Truly, their diet determines their weight loss. And working with me, I do help them find what their particular calories needs to be to lose weight, because there is some trial and error and expertise that I've had practicing with different people and histories and how metabolism works. When you work with a professional, we kind of shortcut the process. But I'm teaching you guys how to do this so you could do it on your own if you need to. Realistic rates of body fat loss are, for females, it's just under a pound per week. You're losing more than 10 pounds a month. It's pretty extreme and it's hard to maintain. So what I want for you guys is weight loss that you can maintain. So we want to stay in the reasonable and comfortable zone. If you have more weight to lose, it's okay if you lose more. You want to aim for about 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week. So when I see these extreme low calorie diets, I'll have somebody come to me and say they're eating 1,000 or 1,200 calories a day. That is just depending on your height and weight. Now, I'm just saying, depending on your height and weight, sometimes that is just too low, and that is going to mess with your basic functions of your body. And we don't want to go that low. We want to make sure that we are taking care of our bodies while we are losing weight. That's the most important part. So there are ways to protect your muscle while you're cutting calories, which is to keep your protein really high and prioritize your protein. But still, if you're not getting enough calories, sometimes you could still lose some muscle. The other thing is, if we lose weight too quickly, it can mess with our female hormones, mess with our menstrual cycle. That's when we get irregularities. And like I said, I pulled up an article earlier. If you just Google, why is losing weight too fast bad? There are a lot of things, and I don't want to pause here with you guys. I just want to help you set reasonable expectations for weight loss that is healthy and that you can maintain for good. Besides meat, what else can you eat for protein? I'm guessing you mean meat like chicken, fish, or lean beef. Greek yogurt is a great source of protein. Cottage cheese is a great source of protein. Beans and lentils, when combined with rice, makes a complete protein. That's a great source of protein. Eggs, dairy, protein powders to supplement if you struggle to get enough protein. A good clean protein powder I would recommend. I want to say collagen, but it's not a complete protein. So collagen is good for your joints and it's good for recovery, but it's not a complete protein, so it won't 100% go to your muscle. But I love collagen for your joints and as a recovery aid. I think I covered most of them. Beans and lentils, cottage cheese, fish, tuna, Greek yogurt is high in protein. Plant-based foods that are high in protein are like oatmeal, peas, soy, but for most people, I don't always recommend soy, but soy is high protein. You just got to watch your amounts. My vegan clients that are trying to gain muscle have to eat a cup of beans at every meal. Collagen is great for skin and hair. When we're tracking your protein amounts, my clients, all of them, are making sure that they eat a sufficient amount of protein. Protein from collagen really shouldn't count towards your protein amount because it's not a complete protein. I would just put collagen in a supplement category. It's been studied for hair, skin, nail, and joints, and also it has been shown to aid in your post-workout recovery. If you have a routine where you make a protein shake after your workout, throw your collagen in there too. If you're like me, I know a lot of people have this habit. I usually put a scoop of collagen in my coffee in the morning. It's a good time to get it. As always, if you ever have any questions, fitness fitness related, somebody else has the same question as well. So don't be afraid to drop them in the group and show some love and support to all the new people that have joined. And let's continue to root for each other. So this is Coach Rose rooting for you to get it done in 2021.